What's up, everyone?
Hello.
It's Donnie.
And Christina.
And we are here today with our very first official video.
Yes.
On the Donnie and Christina
Welcome.
YouTube channel. Here we are. We have all kinds of stuff in our separate channels, which we'll link those to this as well.
We got lots of content out there.
But we are two fun people who've been married for 30 years.
It's been a while.
We have 8 children. And we're going to be talking about how to just get the most out of life.
Yes.
And today...
That's right. Life is meant to be enjoyed fully and to have fun.
Yep. Yes. Today we're going to be talking about life as a quest.
Yes.
Life as an adventure. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be talking about helping people get out of that stuck mode where you're almost like an extra and help you to become the main character in your adventure, in the movie of your life.
Yes, and everybody wants to be the main character, right? I think everybody?
Absolutely.
Most people. I mean, some people might want to be extras.
You know what? It is easier to be an extra.
It is easier to
What was your life as an extra? How did that look? Like if you were to say...
I always wanted to be the main character.
But what about when you worked your way to the back of the class?
Oh, in that way?
Yeah, that's... Well, you're an extra. When like... In life, not just in the acting.
Oh, because I was in acting for a moment.
You were. How'd your commercial go?
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
But that was, I never even saw that commercial. But
I know.
But so you were asking me what?
Like, well, going from an extra to the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for me, I would say like the moments where I was an extra was where I wasn't fully stepping into something. Mm-hmm. I wasn't confident. I wasn't being, risky.
Right. And there definitely, now I'm going to say that there are people that want to just be in the back. And I feel like for me, there were times that I felt like that's where I belonged. And that's what I was expected, is to sit in the back of the classroom. But there's a lot more that, even though inside within me, I was like, I want to be the main actress, right? Mm. The main character in the front of the class. The one that speaks.
Yeah. And I think there's some personality that's tied into that. And some people are extroverts and introverts. And by the way, I would say this. If you want to find out where you're at on the spectrum of like personalities, go take your heroic persona archetype on purpose.quest.
Yes.
That would be linked in the description here. And definitely like find out who you are so you can operate as yourself. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of us, regardless of personality type, it feels like we just aren't engaging. Right. We like, maybe it's something that you want at work and you're not telling people, or maybe it's something that you want at home and you just feel like it will be a fight to go, to get in and talk about. And so what happens is, instead of taking things on, we just say, I'll just, crack open a cold one, sit on the couch. And
because it takes more effort, more work, more mental challenge, honestly, to get to that different place, that different version of life that you want to live, maybe.
We get a routine, right?
And then it's easy to fall into that routine. I love routines. I feel like if I have a routine, I don't have to think. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it takes too much energy to think.
Yeah.
But what happens is it does get boring.
It can.
Life can get boring.
It can rob you. It's weird. Go ahead. I'm seeing it just puts mundane in the place of something that's spicy and fun and loving. There's like, it can just get, I don't know. It's just like it made me think of the poem or the end of the poem from Thoreau that says, the mass of men are living lives of quiet desperation. And they go to the grave with their song still in them. And I just remember being in church where I just remember being personally unplugged and being around other people who are unplugged. I've worked jobs that way. I've worked with people who are making a lot of money where they're at, but they're like in golden handcuffs, so to speak, where it's like, I can't be myself. And so I guess those are some of the places where I feel like you're being more of an extra in your life.
Just kind of not, So you're like living and you're working for life. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of living your life, you're kind of working for life. Meaning you're just kind of like for it, rather than life working for you or living for, you know what I'm saying? It's like being the creator of your life. When you have that understanding, when you awaken to that goodness, that's how I like to see it. because life is good and should be lived fully, then things start happening. You start to see things differently.
Yeah, it's almost like we really get to live the story that we believe. And what we have done is we've been there, right? And I feel like one of the moments in our life happened in 2016 where we decided we were going to step out of the normal and we were just going to do what we wanted. We weren't going to wait around anymore for, at that point, like for the church to tell us that we could go, or we weren't going to wait around for my job to send me. We weren't going to wait around to be out of debt. We were just going to do screw it, we're going.
Yeah. We're just going.
Yeah.
We're just living. We're going to just do something that we've never done before. And so that's when we decided to get rid of everything in 2017 and pack our cars and take off.
And we became, I call it intentionally homeless.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you hate whenever I say that.
We had homes, but they were vacation homes.
Right.
All throughout the United States and Mexico.
Every few months we'd move to a different one.
Yeah.
And we'd pull our tribe of 8
and
children with us.
You know what? There were times that it was challenging. It felt hard, especially for him, because he was like the main breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was taking care of the kids and homeschooling. But it felt hard as far as sometimes we'd be like, why? Wait, what's happening? What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, for me, that was something I needed for my entire being, because I felt like I lived in survival and depression for so long that I needed something different.
It's like
my brain needed something different.
Yeah.
Even though it felt scary, at the same time, my excitement was even more like, I got to do something.
Yeah.
This is what I need
Yeah.
for my life.
And amazingly, I would say that we'd had those moments before. And what would typically happen is we would just kind of say, we can't. Who are we kidding? And we would just kind of
we talk ourselves,
slink back off.
Well, we talk ourselves out of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
this
I
time
think
we
a lot
didn't.
of people do.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually the reason why we created a program that I think you need to be a part of.
Yeah.
It's called The Quest. Mm-hmm. You can find it on purpose.quest, and we help people to get unstuck and live lives of adventure.
Personal transformation experience is what it's.
Yes.
Is our hope is that you really, and it all begins with what your thoughts, what you think about yourself, what you want, or what you think you want, or it's just a lot. It goes deep into discovering really who you want to be,
and taking courage to act as if that could be true. And it's like,
and act as that.
Yeah.
Like it's already happened.
Yeah.
I know.
I believe it's like, my hope is to help people to become co-creators with God.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we did. So I was just thinking like it would be fun to share a little bit of this, part of the story because this is really where our life became, we gave ourselves permission to allow our lives to become more like a treasure hunt, where we weren't waiting for something to happen where we were at.
Right.
We were going to begin to pursue what we wanted. And what would happen as a result is we would meet God along the way. We would meet like these amazing things along the way. And sometimes it was people that we had never even known of that assisted us, or it was just like crazy things that would begin to happen. But we stepped into something that was unknown, and it was freaky, and it was scary. And well, get us to our first place, and I'll do this one. So we left and we took off. We everything we owned fit into the back of 2 vehicles, and that included all of our children. We have 8 children. Yeah. So we had a Chevy Suburban and a Honda Odyssey, and everything was in the back. We had a tiny bit of stuff in storage, and we go.
Yeah, and we end up in Rhode Island one March 2017. I love to think about that. So we end up that's like the first snowstorm that we experienced.
Oh, yeah.
Which our kids really had never seen snow. We're from Florida, so it was a treat.
And so people ask us, well, how did you decide on Rhode Island? And this is actually something that's become instructional for us.
Yeah.
Now, like, we actually still tend to make decisions this way. First, people are like, well, why'd you do it? And you used to say, why not? I think that was your big answer.
Yeah, I think we were like, why not? Like, let's do it. Like, again, for me, it was like, I needed this for my entire being. Like, my literal, like, I had to have this change. Yeah. I just can't even, like, think, like, if I wouldn't have done it. So we did that. We ended up in Rhode Island. Why Rhode Island? Why Charlestown, Rhode Island?
Do you remember? Well, of course you
Well,
remember.
I mean,
it was what we were. The question is, where do you like? We were making it up.
So we decided against getting an RV, and we said we're gonna just see if maybe we could use vacation homes, Airbnbs to live in while. So we did off season.
And we had talked about destination, and I'm like, I really feel strongly that I want to be in this area, and so that basically, like, this is actually how we would decide. In the future, it's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Where do you feel, or where do you see us going next? And I know for like a lot of people that feels like, wait, that's dangerous. You're just like, you're throwing dice in the wind kind of a thing. Well, yeah, that's what we did. And I mean, I had that first place in mind. I'm like, no, I really feel like it needs to be here. And then of course you put the practicality of finding the
of the place. Yeah. Well, we had to also make sure that it fit in our budget and things like that. So that's how we ended up finding it, because we saw this house pop up and we're like, wait a minute, this is like, if this price is right, it's actually cheaper than living in our home that we have now.
Mm-hmm. So we were renting, and we took all the money we were paying for rent and electricity and said, this is what we'll pay for our whatever. This is our budget. And as soon as we went, though, oddly, there was like, I was doing some up and coming things. Like I was getting coaching clients. I started working with a company where I sold coaching and I coached people. And so both of those two things determined my income. And for whatever reason, like there was either a dip, there was an unexpected low amount. And I don't know if it was because of the cash outlay we had to make for different like months of stuff. There was, but for whatever reason,
down payment or something. I don't know. It was like paycheck to paycheck.
But our kids, we were paycheck to paycheck already, a little bit more, or we were a little bit better, slightly than that. And so, but our kids, we immediately were met with difficult financial times, and our kids called it. Do you remember? They call it the famine.
Yeah, yes. The famine. But I look back and I'm like, whatever.
It wasn't that bad.
They're like, oatmeal for breakfast instead of box cereal.
Please, we were fine.
It was funny.
But my appointments, so I had to call people, set appointments, and go sell my product. Yeah. That was not going fine.
In different
horribly
areas.
I actually, the only real true I got a couple of appointments, and one of them was like with the mafia. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird stuff. And one day I'm out walking around kicking sand. Actually, it wasn't sand. I was kicking pebbles because everything on this beach just has pebbles in Charlestown, Rhode Island. And it clacks when the waves come in. Clack, 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 clack. And as I'm out there with a couple of the kids, I happened to look down, and the water was close, right on the edge of the water. I looked down, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's kind of cool." And it's an antique brick. There you go. Wow, how long has this thing been floating around? Has to this is super. You never see like this. Oh, it was cool. It was a marvel. And then I flipped it over, and if you can't see this, I'm just turning it in the light. That is our last name. Tuttle.
He found a brick in this town our first town of our first destination of arriving there. We find a brick with our last name on it. Huh? What?
Come to find out, there was a brick company 100 years, a little bit more than 100 years ago. It went out of business like 75 years ago, called the Tuttle Brick Company in Connecticut. And somehow a boat probably turned over, and this had been like rolling up to the beach for that long. And if we'd been there a week later, wouldn't have seen it. A week earlier, wouldn't have seen it. And by the way, we live in a place now that, because we have in an old city, St. Augustine Beach, where Henry Flagler made brick roads, and that was a big thing. So about the same era of bricks. And they wash up here every once in a while, not all the time. And here's what they look like. So for those of you who might not be seeing it, it's small. It's just like this small broken brick. And we don't have pebbles in our beach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As soon as he showed me, I was like, that is the sign. A sign from God. Like a physical, tangible sign that we are on the right track. Like we're doing the right thing. Because there was a lot of doubt. Like, should we have done this? Maybe this was a wrong choice, like having this new business, working in this new company, maybe this wasn't a wise move.
And maybe it wasn't, by the way. Maybe it wasn't.
But that brick is what kept me believing and saying, nope, we're doing this.
And funny enough, it took me like probably a full couple of weeks of you convincing me.
Yeah. I was like, honey, don't you know?
What are the odds? And I'm like, well, but I still gotta. I got to go do. Thing is, and I think you're not probably going to find a brick with your last name on it.
No.
But there are things around you all over. And you can find ways to interact with the creator of everything in your quest. And we can make life a quest. And we don't have to wait for some outside force to work. It's already working. And what I thought we maybe could share was like ways to engage your life, like and turn your lights on so that you're not like, even like I was. Truthfully, I stayed in that same woe is me energy for another little while, couple of weeks. But once I started like accepting it and seeing things of like, maybe there is something waiting for me. And maybe this is not just me making things happen, but maybe things are also happening for me. And maybe these things happen together. Like I definitely wouldn't have gotten there, I don't think, without your persistence.
Or my faith.
Yeah, your faith.
And there were a lot of little signs along the way. Like even like we were in Rhode Island, which the capital is Providence. And there was a lot of religious, I guess, freedoms that happened in that state as well. People coming from Massachusetts, with the Puritans and all of that, and coming into Rhode Island and the Quakers and all of that. The new religions were being started and new thoughts were happening in Providence.
Our life parallel was that we had departed from a church that we've been a part of for 20 years.
Yes.
It was a big part of the establishment of our life. And it was like, no, you're doing a new thing. Like you have to come out.
Yes.
From that was scary.
And we had community there. We were very involved in our church and with our friends. And that's what we considered our family. And there was a lot of that feeling of like, okay, I think we need to go. Like there's something, the Spirit is drawing us to go.
We know.
And so then we made that step. And it,
not waiting
some people
around,
didn't understand.
Not waiting around for permission. We actually gave ourselves permission, which was a newer concept for us. Along the way, we went all around America. We went through Mexico, and a little bit like 2 years and 1 month later, something like that, we ended up back here in Florida. And then a little bit after that, we settled where we're at right now. Amazing things happen in our lives. Our kids learned a different language, some of them. I did, right? We learned, there were so many new experiences that we got to live into that would never have happened had we not done that. And even our children look back at that, and it wasn't all roses. There were some times where money was tight or we weren't able to do certain things.
Right.
But it was like we always look, it's almost like that's the time where we came alive. And we've since done that on smaller versions. And because I wouldn't say like, oh, for you to live a life of adventure means like sell everything and go traveling.
Right.
I don't think that, because we're not doing that now. We stopped, and that took as much guts as anything.
And there's a lot of story, a lot of thoughts, and just so much that we will be bringing here to you guys. And definitely like this video, subscribe, share, do what you have to spread the word of just living a full and good life, because that's what we're about. That's what we want to shout out into the universe, is that this is a good life.
Yes. And join us on the quest.
Yes.
Right? Go to purpose.quest. It'll bring you right there.
Yep.
You can check us out and
take the personality test.
Take the free personality test.
See what you are.
And start acting like it.
We'll be talking about that too as well. I ended up getting shaman really quick before we wrap up, which we're gonna. And then what did you get for your main? He forgets. But anyway, so we're gonna.
We'll talk about that. But here, and actually, like below on the right, if you click here, you are going to. It'll bring you into the formula to get you unstuck and back into purpose.
Yes.
So that you can work with that. Important. We call it iDig. So you'll definitely want to check that out. That's right there.
That is our jam there.
Yeah, it is. And thanks for joining us. It's like it's really cool to kind of
like and subscribe.
Together.
Bye.
See ya.